What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Another week, another Rio and Lake Lewis Jr. collaboration, and it's another Victory Tuesday podcast. Let's get right to it. How we doing this morning, Lake?
Feeling good, man. Feeling real good after last weekend. I think everybody is, but at this point.
Oh, yeah, it feels great. Everyone should feel good about this. We should not be trying to nitpick the way Washington is winning. We just had our best two-game offensive output since my birth year of 1991, and everyone was wondering how we were going to follow up the Monday night masterpiece put on by Cliff Kingsbury and Jayden Daniels. From your lens, how did it feel from State Farm Stadium on Sunday afternoon?
Listen, man, I think Cliff had an even better game plan this week than he did against the Bengals, ironically. So everything's clicking. And when you see him, consistently running the football, even though Austin Eckler was out, and I was a little concerned about Austin Eckler being
both
out.
were.
But Jeremy McNichols came in and they didn't miss a beat. He even runs a little bit more violent, So I think if anything, they've added another weapon to the arsenal, that you'll see him get some touches going forward as well. And then what can you say? He's finding ways to get Terry open now. And I think as long as that continues to happen, and Terry's a big part of the offensive game plan, which he looks like he is now, I think the ceiling it's unlimited. The sky's the limit for these guys, and they're believing right now offensively. And then we haven't talked about the other side, which I'm sure we'll do here shortly. But yeah, man, I think that Cliff Kingsbury right now, Rio, is on one. I mean, he's got it going, really does.
He's definitely on one, and this one meant something personal to him. Like, we're going to touch on the defense as well, because we put both sides of the ball together. We married the offense with the defense. We got a good punt return. Our kicker hasn't missed any kicks yet. This is the most complete Washington victory in quite some time, and they balled out for Cliff Kingsbury. We heard Arizona media, Arizona content creators, and that fan base, they were saying all kinds of craziness about Cliff Kingsbury coming in. He's not about to strut up in here with a rookie quarterback and outdo K1 in his home turf. Our rookie quarterback made Kyler look like the rookie quarterback on Sunday. 26 of 30. We're talking the best 4-game span of completion percentage the league has ever seen. He is running laps around the other rookie quarterbacks in this league right now. 7 total touchdowns to their 6 combined between the two, and Bo Nix and Caleb Williams. That boy number 5 is special, Lake.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see week in and week out now, there's no more, second guessing and thinking, when is he going to have rookie moments? And, he threw the interception on Sunday. And then right after that, the next 2 consecutive drives, they scored. So it's like you're seeing, if he does make a mistake, he learns from it. He's processing things at a rate that rookies don't process, everything that happens on the field. So he's playing like a veteran right now. And the irony, Rio, that's really crazy is that you can honestly safely say, maybe with the exception of week 1, where Baker Mayfield, to me, had his best game as a Buccaneer, ironically, against Washington. But I think every game since, Jayden's been the best player on the field. And as long as that continues, that trend continues, this team's just going to win football games. There's no dancing around that or feeling scared to think that if you have the best player on the field at the most important position in all of sports, you're going to win games. And that's where they are right now.
And that's a fact. Our last 2 performances, 805 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 field goals, 80 points, and our quarterback just turned the ball over for the first time in his young rookie season. He got a little greedy, but we're not even mad at that. We're going to hit on the quarterback. We're going to hit on the offense. We're going to hit on the defense and talk about this full game. We're going to surmise what took place Sunday, but I want to back it up a little bit. Washington goes up to the jungle on Monday Night Football. Instead of returning home to Ashburn, Josh Harris footed the company bill and said, y'all go ahead and stay up in Arizona for the week. Don't even worry about coming back. Bring Austin Eckler back to get through the concussion protocol. Y'all practice at Arizona State all week and y'all stay out there. How cool is that? And that is not something we could have done under Dan Snyder. Also, I want to hear from your point of view as a media member in this league. How do y'all have to reshuffle the deck and reschedule your week considering the team's not coming back home when y'all did?
I mean, it's business as usual. Some
Okay.
of us did come back to go back out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's business as usual. And from my perspective, I've just looked at it as, it was a brilliant move. I mean, you have to understand it wasn't so much the heat that everyone kept talking about. I mean, it was hot, but
Very.
but different kind of heat. It's a desert heat, but you knew you were going to be playing indoors, and you knew they were going to close the dome up. Okay, everyone knew that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think for the most part, this was a move that was made to not, feel the distractions that could come back after that Monday night win. A short week where you're going to have to turn right back around and fly cross country and get used to the time zone. The difference in time. I thought it was brilliant. And it goes to show the fan base that this ownership group, as well as the GM and coach, they're all on the same page with each other. And they're not trying to nickel and dime it. They're not trying to, if we win, great. We stole a win here, we stole a win there. No, their intention is to win every game they play and be put in the best possible position preparation wise to win the football game. And for them to make that move and not come back home and be gone away from family for 2 weeks, that tells you that football should be on your mind right now, not your family. No offense, but that's the nature of this business. Right now, it's not time to worry about everything at home. You're trying to win games, and all that stuff will take care of itself. Because let's face it, Rio, when you win in games, wives and girlfriends fly themselves out to see you.
they'll get fluid out to you, man. Lake did not lie on that one, man. But it shows you this ownership group means business. They're about it, and they're going to do whatever it takes and spend whatever on any expenditures on or off the field to make sure this team has what it takes to succeed. Because Josh Harris grew up a Washington fan. He remembers what the glory days are like, and they're trying to sprint, full speed as far as they can to get out of the shadow of what Dan Snyder did over the last 25 years. Jayden Daniels returns to his first alma mater, Arizona State. They practice for a week indoors at Arizona State. Cliff Kingsbury is going back to Arizona, a little bit of an emotional aspect of the game, but Washington went up there, played its ball game, and played two-way football and went up there. And let's go to Sunday now. Washington had plenty of moments to fall into typical Washington shit, and they survived all of it. We can go to the opening kickoff of the game. DJ Dallas gets a good return, takes it up to about the 40. He fumbles on the opening kickoff. Do we recover it? No, because it's like we never recover fumbles nor catch interceptions when they come our way. And then Kyler's little ass matriculates the ball right down the field. 4th and inches, no respect for our defense. They throw a corner pylon touchdown to Marvin Harrison Jr., who was one-on-one with Noah Igbenogany, and most probably thought at that moment, okay, this is Washington's defense being Washington's defense. It's going to be a long day in the desert, right?
Yeah, I think most people probably were thinking that. And I know, the temperature was just, are we getting ready to go down this rabbit hole again? But you know what? I think it's safe to say now that this whole thing has changed. And, just the way they responded, they came right back down the field and scored after they got scored on. Normally it's the other way around over the previous seasons. The offense might have some momentum and do something, and the defense gets scored on immediately. So for Washington to be able to answer the bell right off the top, and then score again, it just it's almost, let's face it, Rio. Everyone was surprised when Tress Way trotted out there.
I know. I forgot what he looked like. I forgot what now.
Like, my God, is that like, who's that? And I was just having this conversation with a friend when I got back. Was like, think about this, just to put this in perspective. Over the past 5 years, whenever you had to do a poll or ask the question, Washington's best four football players, you know who was always in that conversation with the four?
Who's
Tress
that?
Way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whenever you have to have your punter be one of your best four players, you knew you were doomed. You knew it wasn't going to
Right.
be pretty. So now to put this in perspective, their best player, or one of their best players, most valuable player, you could even say over the past 4 years, he's not even hitting the field now. That
Nope.
tells you, that signals the change that was needed for this thing to go in the right direction.
That shows you that this offense is humming on levels I've never seen here. That's why I say don't compare this to 2012. Don't
No,
compare this to 2015, 2016. We have never seen we are walking opponents down on a regular basis. We got to see Trace Tressway this week. We turned the ball over once this week, and that was the only time we didn't score. Other than that, we scored on every possession again. We saw Tressway one time, never saw him again. And we treated this like a prize fighter, like a Floyd Mayweather fight. We saw what the Arizona Cardinals were going to do on the first drive of the game. We got in our Philly shell. We're just snapping the jab. We're letting them shoot their load at us in the first couple rounds. And then our offense took the field. And it was a track meet up and down the field on every drive of the game. We were getting to Kyler Murray. 4 sacks on the day. We finally got to open up the law firm of Allen and Payne on a Sunday afternoon. They arrived. They both got to the quarterback. Dorrance Armstrong showed the most bend I've seen an edge rusher show in Washington since I don't know who. Brian Arakpo? I don't know. But the linebackers are flying around. Forbes is playing solid and almost catching picks. What a day for Joe Witt Jr. and the Washington Commanders defense, Lake.
You know, the thing that's made that so impressive was because Arizona's offense is actually pretty good. I
They
mean,
are.
you go back to their loss in Buffalo, and they've had a tough schedule, but they were in every game,
Mm-hmm.
and for them to be home, they were favored by 3.5. For them to be stifled the way they were after that opening drive, I know they got another touchdown later, but for the most part, Washington's defense bottled them up. And
Yep.
and I think, when you look at the fact that you have Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside, he's going to be one of the greats. You can already see it. Kyler Murray's a really good quarterback in this league, one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the league. And then, of course, James Conner, a sledgehammer of a running back. They pretty much did everything they were supposed to do on defense. And for my money, it might have been the coming out party that defense needed to see what they could do collectively together. If you get
Mm-hmm.
the push up the middle of the field, now you can see what Bobby Wagner really can do as
Yep.
this Hall of Fame linebacker, because he doesn't have to worry about everyone coming right at him. And you
Facts.
saw him sideline to sideline. Frankie Louvu, you already saw what he's been doing, knocking heads off, continued that trend on Sunday. And then,
Leader.
of course, as you mentioned, Dorrance Armstrong. That's what they brought him in from Dallas. Dan Quinn, Joe Witt, they knew what this kid could do. And, I predicted that he was going to surpass his 8.5 sacks that he had in Dallas last year. Well, after the game the other day, he's on pace now. So listen, man, if you've been the weak link for this team
Mm-hmm.
defensively, you were the weak link, and now you saw what you're capable of being. This thing it could get really interesting here. And I don't mean just as far as, now can they be a wild card team? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, can they win this division?
Mm-hmm.
It's been 22 years of a different winner in this division, Rio.
Yep.
Why can't Washington be that team this year to really put some heat on Philadelphia and Dallas as far as a new king in the division?
That is a good point. McNabb was doing chunky soup commercials last time someone repeated as a division winner here. And every time the division looks murky, Washington finds a way to win it. Every time the division looks like it doesn't have a clear winner, Washington finds a way to win it. But Washington is playing the best football in the NFC East right now. It's why we sit at 3-1 in sole possession of first place in the division. Dallas's best 2 defensive players are going to be out for a few weeks. The Eagles, number one and number two receiver, they're banged up. They're on a bye week trying to get their life together right now in Philadelphia. We don't need to talk about the team in New York because they will not be competing for any type of division in 2024. So Washington, technically, I hate these cliche ass words, but they control their destiny this season. If they take care of business and they win games, and you said that we were 3.5 point dogs. Don't let people switch the narrative because we were picked to lose all 4 games we played this year. We were 3.5 point dogs to the Cardinals. We were 8.5 point dogs, the biggest dogs of week 3 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. We weren't even picked to beat the New York Giants in week 2. So people can't switch that narrative and start saying Washington hasn't beat anybody because we are the indeed nobody that people are saying that we're beating on Sundays, but we're making a name for ourselves. Kyler Murray, one of the shiftiest quarterbacks in the league, we held him to 1 carry for 3 yards, under 150 yards passing. We beat him in total yards, 449 to 296. We beat him in passing yard, 233 to 115. Rushing yard, 216 to 181. Yards per play, first downs, third down efficiency, 9 out of 12, 1 out of 1. We're the best fourth down team I've seen in quite some time. Hats off to Joe Witt Jr. on outclassing, outsmarting, and putting together a complete defensive performance. Talk to me about the secondary in this game. Their leading receiver had 45 yards and a touchdown, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and literally after that first drive, Marvin didn't have any kind of impact on the game at all. And you have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, the only knock I could even find if I wanted to come up with one on the secondary, sometimes I just wish, they would look back and track the ball in the air, because outside of that, they're right there every time. Benji St. Juste is always right there. But sometimes I think if you can just turn your head around and track the ball, you can knock it down or maybe get a pick. That's coming. Those things will come because overall, you look at the physicality of the secondary. They will come up and tackle. They will come up and put a hat on you. And I think, again, you'll see how good the secondary can actually be if in front of them there's a pass rush. That's just the nature of football. If you get to the quarterback and you make that quarterback uncomfortable, now your athletes in the back end of your defense can make plays on the football. And I think that's the next facet of the defense that's coming in that secondary.
Hell yeah, because Joe Witt Jr. harps on playing violent but flipping fields. He wants to turn the ball over. We actually forced a fumble in this game. Shout out to Frankie Louvu. That is your defensive MVP through the first month of this season. But let's give credit where it's due. Me and you have come on this joint every week and said, it's time for that $45 million cap hit of Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen to make an impact on Sunday. And they handled business like we know they're capable of doing. And it's why we're hard on them and we want to see them produce. I think the game plan, I think Cliff Kingsbury might have been in the room with Joe Witt telling him everything we need to know about Kyler Murray. He's short. He can't see passing lanes, clog up the middle, and get to him on the outside. Cage him in. If he tries to beat you from the pocket, you got the Arizona Cardinals beat. Talk to me about the two boys up front.
Listen, this is what they get paid to do, Yep. So I even said this, both of them had a sack. So collectively, this is what you want. But you can't have, just a play here or there. It has to be consistent domination because they're capable of it. And that's why you and I have been so hard, speaking truths here. We talked about Terry. We knew what a number one receiver looked like. Well, you know what? The last 2 weeks, we've seen a number one receiver. And is it because of him having help as far as the game plan on offense? It doesn't matter. We're seeing a number one receiver. And that's what we needed to see on the defensive side of the ball. We needed to not hear they're getting double teamed. Guess what? When you're a great player, you're supposed to be double teamed. And that's every player in the NFL who's great gets double teamed. But they work through those things. They work through the adversity, and they're always there for their team. So what we're saying is what we saw on Sunday, you see the outcome, and you see the difference. You see when John Allen and Daron Payne are both active and both playing at the rate that we know they're capable of, look at the results for the defense. Everything fell into place on Sunday. We just talked about the secondary. They could play ball because there's a pass rush up front. We
Mhm.
saw the edge rushers, Dorrance Armstrong. We saw these guys making plays because of what was happening in the middle of the field. So everyone knows it starts with John Allen and obviously Deron Payne. And if they're playing at the high level, which we saw on Sunday, that's why fans of this football team should feel like something special is brewing right in front of your eyes.
When the Alabama wall is producing on Sundays, our defense has a chance to make an impact. When they're actually a part of the game plan and you hear their name being called and they're wreaking havoc in the middle, it gives us a chance. Not to mention them. Johnny Newton hustles as much as I've seen a defensive tackle hustle. This guy is running Bama's down 20 yards up the field. Relentless motor. When they get him pass rushing and ramped up some more, it's going to be good. For Darian Mathis, he's in there space eating. He's in there wreaking havoc as well. Dorrance Armstrong on the edge, baller ass day. But the linebacker room, man, the linebacker room. Matter of fact, before we get to the linebacker room, you can't always have it both ways. We got consistent pass rush on Kyler Murray on Sunday. But what that did was we gave up 181 yards rushing, another 100-yard back to James Conner on 18 carries, 50 yards to the backup Trey Benson in 24 to another running back. But the Cardinals' identity does not thrive on the workload of James Conner. So his 100 yards was not effective and did not control the pace of the game.
Yes.
Washington made adjustments. They scored in the first quarter. They scored in the third quarter. No points in the second and the fourth. Great adjustments by Joe Witt Jr., Frankie Louvu, and Wagner, man. Having linebackers is such a refreshing feeling on Sunday.
It is, especially when you think about the weakest link for this team over the last 4 or 5 years. And for our money, Rio, let's just, people sometimes don't like hearing these things, but Washington's linebacker room over the past 5 years was the worst in the NFL. It was tragic. And now it's the strength of their team. And they're getting ready to get Jordan McGee back out there.
Oh, I need that.
When I say things are happening at the right time for this team, for them to have the effort that they did on the defensive side of the ball on Sunday, and I'm so glad you mentioned Arizona's rushing attack. Although I'm a fan of James Conner, when you look at the way the runs were coming, it was almost meaningless runs, and it was almost like the trap that Arizona fell into, Shane Steichen, because guess what? By running the football, you basically were eating the clock up on yourself because Washington was not going to let you beat them through the air. And it just worked. It worked to perfection. So, yeah, give up some plays on the rushing yards, but don't let them be, those big chunk plays that we've seen over the, first couple of weeks where it was almost like they were almost playing a prevent defense. Mm-hmm. Well, Sunday they were aggressive. They were blitzing, which we hadn't seen. They were bringing heat to Kyler Murray, and he felt under duress. And it was a sight to behold because I wasn't sure if I was going to see that with Kyler. Normally these quarterbacks are comfortable against Washington's defense. Nah, he looked a little rattled on Sunday, and it showed.
Yeah, Petzing didn't move the pocket around enough for Kyler, and it felt like Kyler was out here trying to prove a point that he was a pocket quarterback or something because one rush for 3 yards, he was not creating much. On the scramble, we had that boy bottled up in the pocket. Cliff Kingsbury probably told him everything. He knows all the good, the bad, and the ugly about Kyler Murray. The defense, man. Emmanuel Forbes' return. He comes back. He's throwing his head in the rushing game. He's throwing his body around, and he almost had it. He should have had an interception on Sunday.
He should have. He looked good, man. He that was one of the best games I've seen Emmanuel play. And still had the thumb, the wrap on the thumb. But yeah, he did everything you want to see in your young corners. And one of the biggest adjustments that was visible in the second half that really wasn't there in the first half was Joe Witt brought his corners up. In the second half, they were almost playing press man coverage because they saw that they were getting a pass rush. And when you can do that, you let guys play to their natural ability. And that's why you saw corners trying to break on balls, and you saw them playing a lot faster and a lot freer. And I expect that to continue as this thing continues to grow out for them during the season.
Yep, I love to see the corners bounce back. Noah Igbenogany, I can't get mad at him because he should not be one-on-one with Marvin Harrison on 4th and inches at the goal line, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to score that on whatever corner we put out there, but he ended up having a solid game. He knocked a couple passes down. He was in good coverage. Benjamin St. Juste did his normal solid self. There's good, there's bad, but he's usually the most consistent corner on this team. The safeties, Jeremy Chin, seen all the tweets and he heard all of us talking the first couple weeks of the season, because boy has he had a turnaround these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he was the player that we all expected. I mean, he was coming up brutally hitting people. That's the only way you can say it. He was hitting guys and they were going backwards, and you could see the fire, you could see the tenacity, everything was there on display. And I think in fairness to some of these guys, it is a new group, learning a new defense. And, it's just different plays and pieces that needed to be formed. And I think that you're starting to see week in and week out another player step up to the forefront that's now having a big role on the defense. So, Rio, I'm liking what I'm seeing from all these guys. And for Jeremy Chin to have the game he had, his confidence is going to be high going into, this week playing against Cleveland. So now Emmanuel Forbes' confidence should be high. Noah's confidence should be high on the outside. So now everything is in play for them to just pin their ears back and play some fast, free football and violent football.
I love it, man. Jeremy Chin was smacking everything that had a red jersey on Sunday. We love to see that because that's what we paid you for. You're trying to get an extension here. You're here on a 1-year prove-it deal. You've proved it the last couple weeks, but to put a bow on the defensive side of the ball, your grade for Washington's defense in Week 4 against the Arizona Cardinals is?
A B+. And, I grade hard. So for them to get a B+ shows the love that I'm trying to give that defense, because they did perform well. Naturally, if you tightened up a little bit more on the run game, I would have probably given them an A-. And if you could have stopped the run, I would have given them a solid A. So I think a B+, considering what we've seen over the previous, 2-3 weeks, so we've given them D grades, and you think you gave them a failing grade once, that's a start improvement. And it's a trending upward trajectory for them. So I expect those B+ to move up to A- and A's going forward.
Man, you're a tough crowd over here, man. Tough crowd from late. I guess I'm grading on a curve because I'm giving them boys a 98A, 98 out of 100A. This defense, I will take it. If that's an A performance based on what we've seen so far this year. 37 points week 1 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Giants scored 3 touchdowns on us, but they didn't have a kicker. The Bengals scored 33 points on us. We held Kyler Murray in an offense that looked very competent through its first 3 weeks to 14 points. We forced a turnover, and we had complete domination throughout 60 minutes other than the first drive of the game. I'm giving them an A. Give Joe Witt Jr., y'all get an A for that, because I keep harping on, if they can just be league average with the offense that we have right now, oh my goodness, we are talking playoff football team in year 1 of the recalibration, rebuild, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to grade on a curve. I'm going to give them an A grade for Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. But now we can move over to the fun side, the offensive side of the ball. 42 points, over 430 yards of offense led by our leader, Jayden Daniels. Our rushing attack, no Austin Eckler, no problem. B-Rob goes for over 100 and a tutty. Jeremy McNichols, RB3, 70 yards, just under 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's balling. Jayden Daniels, 47 yards on the ground, another rushing touchdown. He's balling. OG Bobby Johnson got this offensive line looking like the Hogs 2.0 right now. Where do we start with this offense, Lee?
Listen, let's do something different today. And you just ended what you said. let's start with the offensive line,
Yes,
because we
sir.
know about Jayden, we know about B Rob, and Jeremy McNichols, the running game on Sunday, and we know about Terry. We know about Noah Brown, who's been a huge find for this
Mm-hmm.
offense. We know about the tight ends. Zach Ertz it looks like he's found the fountain of youth.
Yep.
But it all starts within the trenches.
Up
And
front.
for this offensive line to be doing what they're doing, it's really impressive. And then if you think about the fact that Brandon Coleman is still, trying to get himself right, once he comes into the fray, I think it'll get even better. But, everything that they're doing right now is working. And I've said this all off season. When you have a dynamic quarterback, when you have a person under center that can do things off schedule, that can create things with his legs, you don't need offensive linemen to hold their blocks for 3-4 seconds like they had to do in years past and just couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do it. Now you just need these guys to get a hand on a man for 1 or 2 seconds, and the guy behind them is going to make something happen either through the air or through his legs. And I think that that's why you're seeing these guys look even fresh when the fourth quarter comes around. They don't look tired. They're still pushing people around. And now they're starting to bring that physicality to it. The running game, we already know it's there. But I mean, even on pass blocking, look at the pockets that Jayden is throwing from. He's got
He's by
time now.
himself. Mm-hmm.
So give credit to Bobby Johnson, like you said, because we remember they were dogging him up in New York. And people
Killing.
kept saying, Dan Quinn's assembled a great coaching staff, but offensive line coach, yeah, he's not that good. Wrong. He's actually been one of the strengths on this coaching staff. And give that man his flowers, because his offensive line is shoving people face down in the dirt. And that's what you want to see.
Oh my God, these boys are bullying. They're throwing guys out the club. They're giving Jayden Daniels time to make a sandwich, make himself some waffles, and then throw the pass on Sunday. They're opening up holes in the run game. What a unit. I seen at least 3 commanders on the top 10 graded PFF offensive line blocks for this week.
Weekly.
Weekly, yeah, and it's the inside and the outside. We're dual wielding left tackles right now. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Cornelius Lucas had 37 snaps to Brandon Coleman's 35 snaps. Andrew Wiley has turned a new leaf this year. He has heard all the fan hatred for the last season. He is balling. He's clearing the way for touchdowns
Playing
on the
that.
right side.
Yeah.
Yep, they're
He, he
mauling guys.
he looks nasty out there now. Like
Mhm.
he's got a chip on his shoulder. And that's the thing. Like these guys, they're nice guys in the locker room and all that. But on the field, they're nasty. And
Mhm.
that's what you want. And I think they know too, Rio, that they have something special behind them. So you got to keep this guy upright. It's just, why would you not want to ball out for a guy that you know is getting you some TV time, getting you
Mhm.
some looks, getting you some money? you know,
Mhm.
you perform well, you're going to get paid, because that's the most important investment on this franchise is Jayden Daniels. And if you can keep his jersey clean, you're going to make some money in front of him. So these guys understand that. Trust me.
Hell yeah. You're not going to turn down your own blessings, man. You got money. And speaking of money, that jersey you just mentioned is currently the #1 selling jersey in the entire NFL. Go over to Elon's app or X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Click on the NFL page. The first thing you're going to see is Jayden Daniels as the header picture for the NFL Twitter page. You love to see it, but we're going to save the best for last. We talked about the offensive line. Let's move over to the running backs. Brian Robinson Jr. said no Austin Eckler, no problem. He's running like a tank. He's on pace for over 1,000 yards this year. He's on pace for double-digit touchdowns through 4 weeks of the season. Jeremy McNichols, I didn't have that on my bingo card that he was going to come out and run that well. He's toe tapping up the sideline for a touchdown. Talk to me about Cliff's run design and that running plan on Sunday.
I think what you saw on Sunday was the reason why they went into the season with 3 running backs, and people were like, oh, no, most teams keep 4 or, no. And they kept saying over and over and over, they feel really comfortable with their third back. And now you see why.
Yep.
We saw flashes of Jeremy throughout camp, throughout practice, but the word was that, you know, he was a seasoned veteran. You know, he's a guy that knew his role and he knew what he was supposed to do. But when he, you know, got his chances, Dan Quinn kept saying he takes advantage of his chances. And if that wasn't on display on Sunday, I don't know what you were watching, because he looked really good. He didn't look like a complimentary running back on
Nope.
Sunday. He looked like a lead back on Sunday.
Feature back. Yeah.
Exactly. So now you have three of them now, you know, to go along with Jayden Daniels, to go along with that offensive line and the receiver. So it's just another weapon that Cliff can add to his bag, add to his arsenal, where you don't know where these plays are going to be coming from. I was impressed. And then, of course, with B Rob, I mean, this guy's having a Pro Bowl season. There's no other way to put it. And we all knew he was capable of it. But unfortunately, last year, his offensive coordinator just refused to run the football. And
Yep.
now Cliff Kingsbury, who people thought was going to come in here and just throw it all over the field, he's calling the right mixture of plays. And there's such a good balance of run to pass ratio. But when he does run it, it's not wasted running plays. It's
Nope.
still big plays, burst plays, as they like to call it. They're
Mhm.
getting it all. And I think their running back room right now is one of the strengths of their team. It might be their best unit, ironically.
Hell yeah. We got a three-headed rushing attack out of the backfield, and that's not even factoring in. We have either the number one or number two best rushing quarterback in the NFL. And the threat of Jayden possibly running the ball is enough to make defenses have nightmares on a weekly basis. He takes it in on a quarterback keeper to the right side, quarterback sweep, blocked up to perfection. He's holding on to Tyler Biadasz's jersey like Emmitt Smith used to for the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. Cliff Kingsbury's bag is so different, man, through the passing game and the running game. I don't think this offense looks gimmicky right now. It doesn't look collegey. They're running. Did you notice on Sunday they had Jayden under center handing off the ball a lot of times on
I,
Sunday? This is a modern pro offense.
Yeah, we were talking about that actually. You know, just he was under center a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that's just another wrinkle, another look for teams to have to game plan for. Something like, let's face it, man. In years past, where defensive coordinators were sleeping real well. You know, I
Very.
think Washington's offense over the past 4 or 5 years was keeping defensive coordinators happily married. You know, because they didn't have to invest any time in looking at game plan, you know, footage. All they could do is spend time with their family, show up on Sunday, get a dub. Well, now this offense with Cliff Kingsbury and Jayden and Brian Robinson and Terry in this offensive line, I'm predicting they're going to have a couple defensive coordinators get divorced in 2024. Trust me.
We love that. We're trying to break up some happy homes. We're trying to be home wreckers in 2024. Moving over to the wide receiver room. Our leading receiver Sunday was Olamide Zaccheaus, 14 yards a catch, 85 yards. I see a trend here, and it makes me want to pull back some of my. I don't want to retract or ever backtrack any of my statements, but the way our offense is effective, we have a different leading receiver each week. Week 1, it was Luke McCaffrey. Week 2, it was Noah Brown. Week 3, it was obviously Terry McLaurin, who went crazy on Monday night. Week 4, it was Olamide Zaccheaus. It doesn't seem like this offense cares who gets the ball. It did feel like we, at times, will try to force it to Terry because you're supposed to with your number one target. But it seems like whoever gets open, eat. And Jayden's going to find the ball. He throws with touch timing and anticipation. He's throwing guys open, and we're seeing open receivers on a regular basis. They're running butt naked open on short routes, intermediate, and deep routes. Talk to me about what you see from the wide receiver group.
I mean, they're producing, and that's what you want. You know, they kept saying they felt really comfortable with what they had, and once they picked up Noah Brown, I think it eliminated any conversation to be worrying about. You know, people talking about Christian Kirk and all these other guys that could be expendable for their current teams. I don't think Washington needs to worry about that right now. I think they have everything they need. Noah Brown now gives them that physical presence to get off the line of scrimmage. Terry has been the big play receiver,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then of course Zaccheaus, you know, worked underneath, and that's what his specialty is as a slot guy. So you know, we haven't even had a De'Ami Brown sighting this year. You know, now you would naturally think against Cleveland,
It's
Watch
coming.
his number get called. It's coming because
Tennessee game 2022 all over again, right?
that's what I'm saying. So every week there's a guy you're like, what happened to this person? And then they show up, and it's just building and building. Luke McCaffrey's been playing really well,
Oh
so
God.
got to give him credit. The tight ends are doing their thing. Ben Sinnott, more so knocking heads off on special teams, but he's the guy that they're going to start working in once he gets a little bit more familiar with the concepts of the offense. That's been the thing that's holding him back right now. So that those extra pieces, they're getting ready to start coming too. And if you can get a De'Ami Brown loose in the wide receiver room, now you got four. You got four more weapons. And Jayden's already proving that he will find them because there was 9 different people that caught the ball from him on Sunday. Unheard of for a rookie to be able to see the field like that. So just good stuff all around, man. If you can't be excited now as a Commanders fan, and I mentioned this on my pod, Rio, not to jump on here and plug
I
it,
heard
but
it. Nah, of course, no, of course you jump on here and plug away.
but I did, man. I had to take people to church. I had to tell them it's time to exercise the demons and let the past go. Because if you don't want old heads like me talking about what it was like in DC when they were winning Super Bowls, you're tired of hearing those stories. You want to create new memories. That's what all the young people say. Well, guess what? Now you have a chance now to create those memories that you want. Stop holding on to the past about thinking the wheels are going to fall off or that somebody's going to get hurt or that are they really this good? Yeah, they are. They're really on an upward trajectory. And when you see this team leading off national outlet stories about what happened on Sundays, normally it was everything bad. But when they're leading it, that tells you your eyes are not being deceived. This thing is on the right track and it's starting to pick up some steam. And as Rio just said, if the defense plays average, they're a playoff team. Well, guess what? I don't want the defense to play average. I want them to play to that B+A grades that we're giving them for Sunday. If they play to that level, this team can win the NFC East, get a home game in the playoffs, and potentially be someone's a damaging team to someone's hopes.
Hell yeah, man. With the way this offense is playing, that is a top 2 offense in the league. In a lot of metrics, they're not the number 2 team. Shit, I've seen Eli Manning win a Super Bowl with the 25th ranked defense. As long as the defense is opportunistic and can force turnovers and eventually get to the quarterback, you have a chance each week. But late, we got one of those ones at the quarterback position. This is the quarterback we've dreamed about. This is the quarterback that we've been longing for so long. He can do it with his arm. He can do it with his legs. He can do it with his head. He can manipulate defenses with his eyes and his movements. He can flip his hips and put torque on the ball. He can throw a bullet. He can put it in between defenders. He can do it all, and we haven't even fully unleashed him yet. They haven't pulled the whole playbook back yet. We haven't seen him forced to throw 35 or 40 times yet. When he has to, y'all are really going to see him snap, and he's already taking the most advantage of his opportunities I've ever seen a rookie quarterback face. CJ Stroud set the standard last year. We saw what happened in 2012. This ain't that. This ain't that.
Nah,
This
it's
ain't
not.
2012. This ain't no 3-6 start 7-game win streak. This is quarterbacky, and Jayden Daniels looks like everything we were told he was by a million people who watched him at LSU last year.
You know what, Rio, man? I'm so glad you said it's not 2012 because it's not. And I'm almost starting to take offense when people
Me
pop up on
too.
my stuff and say this is RG3 all over again. No,
No,
it's
it's not.
not. let,
It's
let
not.
me let me say, and Robert's my guy. That's my dude. he never was this good as Jayden as far as being a pocket quarterback. Jayden isn't a running quarterback first. He's a pocket quarterback first that has incredible running ability, better running ability than Robert. The only guy that you flat out will say is better than Jayden running the football quarterback. We know
Lamar
that it's
Jackson.
up the
Yeah.
road. Now that's different.
That's different.
But
Yeah, that's
Jayden
different.
is like right around that corner from
Yeah.
Lamar, and then there's a huge separation from those two guys with everyone else. But people have to understand again, this guy, when people talk about his comps, is he Robert? Is he Lamar? Stop it. We haven't seen Jayden Daniels comp before. And I legitimately mean that. Does he have some things that remind you of Aaron a little bit, throwing the football around? Yeah, a little bit. But no one, and I mean no one ever, and I'm saying this only in 4 games, and I'm going to stand on this. I don't think we've ever seen a dual threat who is elite in both categories
Yeah,
as
he's
far as
different.
passing the football and running. CJ Stroud was great last year. He does not run the ball like Jayden
He
at all.
doesn't. He
So
does.
we're seeing something in Washington that we've never seen. And the other thing, Rio, is we're seeing something that you, me, our parents, maybe even our grandparents never saw in Washington, and that is a franchise quarterback. We had Joe Theismann, there was Mark Rippon, there was Doug Williams winning Super Bowls, but they weren't franchise quarterbacks at that time. Joe
They weren't.
Theismann had an MVP, still was not a franchise quarterback. Franchise quarterbacks get drafted, developed, sparkle with the same program and stay under center for 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
This kid has all the makings to finally be something Washington's never seen. And you see what that does for your franchise. It changes all hopes instantly.
He does the right amount of everything. Like this guy, man, watching him play, you just marvel at how easy it looks. There's no way a casual fan who just pops on a Commanders game says that's his 4th game in the NFL. That's a rookie quarterback. You would say Kyler was the rookie quarterback if you just turned on that football game on Sunday. He's
Yeah.
killing you through the air. He's picking his spots wisely. He's getting the ball out of his hands quick. He's getting through his reads and progressions. He's scanning the field, and you can stop talking about him sliding. He knows how to slide, and ever since that big hit versus the Giants, he knows when to get down. He knows when to stop, drop, and roll. This guy is big time. That's a bona fide superstar. He's humble, but he has the right amount of dog and athletic arrogance. He told somebody on the Cardinals, y'all not effing with me right now on the field on
Love,
Sunday.
love to see it.
You can see that there is genuine confidence, but it's not borderline egotistical and me first, like some of the guys we've seen here before. How would you grade Jayden Daniels in the offense on Sunday?
I mean, what's there not to like, man? I'm going A+. I mean, did they do anything wrong? I mean, when you seriously think about it, he spread the ball around 9 different receivers. He ran for a rushing touchdown, threw for 2. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, you want to see him slide? He slid in the game, literally slid. So we're seeing him do everything he's supposed to do, Rio. The offensive line bullying people around, running attack, just running the ball down people's throats. You're a big play receiver. Terry had a touchdown. You had complimentary receivers, extending drives on 4th down conversions, 3rd down and longs. Everything was working. Cliff Kingsbury called an A+ game. So to me, that offense on Sunday was an A+. If they play like that every week, I'm telling you, this football team is well on their way, and they're a year ahead of schedule, maybe even 2 years ahead of schedule because of the way everything is brewing. And now the confidence is building in each player in that locker room, and they're playing for each other and they're playing with each other. It's okay, fans. It's okay. You can peel the Band-Aid off and not feel like the wound is still there and it's going to start bleeding on you again. It's healed, and it's time now to move forward with this new group and support these guys.
Yep, let those past traumas go. I'm tired of hearing, man, I've seen us fall on our face before. Well, you have
This
not
is different.
seen you have not seen what we're doing right now with this quarterback, with this offensive coordinator, and collectively as a unit. So it begs the question, is this sustainable going forward? As long as number 5 is back there and Cliff Kingsbury is calling them plays, it's absolutely sustainable. We are a force on offense right now. Go ahead.
Real. It's more than just sustainable because of Jayden. It's sustainable because you have an owner who's doing the right things.
Mm-hmm.
It's sustainable because you have a freaking GM for
Oh my.
once. You have a guy that's a talent evaluator. Every move Adam Peters has made, has nailed it. He's hit every single one as far as who he's brought in. Off, they flipped this roster, 30 new players, and those 30 players each week you hear their names being called. It's sustainable because you have a coach who's a player's coach who actually does coach and who is bringing a culture of togetherness in there. So yeah, my friends, to the fans out there saying they've seen this start before and then the wheels,
You're lying.
the one thing that was in common, and I will say that for those fans, I'm gonna give this to you. If you want to say you've seen it before, you know what you saw for 25 years? You saw the man upstairs, that owner. That was what you saw. So yeah, it was the same. I'm giving you that. He's no longer here. So stop holding on to the past and move forward with this team and support them and enjoy your Sundays because you've earned this as fans. You deserve to feel good about what you're seeing. Your eyes aren't deceiving you. You're seeing the same thing the national media, the national fan base are seeing. The reason why that man's jersey, Jayden's, is #1 in the NFL right now is because people aren't buying a Scrubs jersey. Trust me on that. So they know what they have, and you need to know that you have something sustainable here in DC.
Brother Lake is speaking to the Commanders congregation on a Tuesday morning. You love to hear it. Just to close the door on week 4 as we move forward to week 5 and the Cleveland Browns coming to town. Your favorite aspect of the game, or no, your favorite aspect of this Washington Commanders team through 4 weeks. I'm going to give you a second to stew on that. I'll go first. Yeah. Mine is that a penalty, a sack, or for any reason, if we lose yards and have to play behind the sticks, we go for it. We go for it, and we're getting that shit back. We are not concerned with screenplay here, draw play, let's punt the drive. Those were normally drive killers for this team. We are going and aiming. We're sending routes to the sticks on 2nd and 15. On 3rd and 16, we're going right back. Here you go, Luke McCaffrey for 15 yards. Here you go, Noah Brown for 14 yards. I've never seen my team move like this, and I don't ever want to see us move differently again. On top of that, I've seen us get 4 straight 4th down conversions over the last 2 weeks. This is nothing like I've seen my team play before, and I want to move different, and I want to act up all season. What are your favorite aspects of this first quarter of the season for the Commanders?
Growth, man. When you see it week in and week out, it's development, it's growth. You see it, and how many times in the first 2 games, even the 3rd game, where you've seen those bubble screens, well, they've basically weaned off of that. And as you said, they're going down the field now. They're taking shots down the field too. You have the pass interference against Noah Brown. Those are the type of things that teams do when they're successful, when everything is working across the field. So for me, it's growth. Now you saw the defense come to life. It's coaching. That tells you that these coaches are not giving up on stuff when it doesn't work. They're figuring ways to keep these guys competitive, ways to keep these guys in position to be successful. And more importantly, Rio, ways to keep these guys having fun. And if you can't see that this football team's having fun out there, I mean, they're dancing out there, each other up. I mean, it's a sight to behold. It's just something that's so refreshing to see after all the decades of misery that's been around here in DC. So for me, my aspect is just the growth and continued coaching and coming together as a unit.
Yep. And like Cliff Kingsbury said when they handed him the game ball in the locker room, on to the motherfucking next. We got the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson on the schedule. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I got one little quick outlook about that game. This is a good Cleveland Browns defense, but they've got off to a 1-3 start. Deshaun Watson looks nothing like his former self, but Washington owes this team badly because last time we saw Cleveland come down to FedEx Field at the time, now Northwest Stadium, Washington had a playoff spot on the line. Don't tell Ron Rivera that because he didn't know, but they had a playoff spot on the line, and we stunk that joint up with Carson Wentz, and we made Watson look like his guitar playing on the field, Houston Texans self, and Amari Cooper ran up and down the field on us. Washington needs this one on Sunday, right?
They do, and I'm just going to say I'd be shocked if they don't win this football game. Cleveland was a team that I even said look out for them. Before the
Mm-hmm.
season started, I said look out for them to be a potential Super Bowl contender because they do have that talent, and I do like their coaching. But you can just see when a team doesn't have that mojo, like something's missing. They still have Myles Garrett, who's probably one of the best 2 or 3 defensive players in all of football. We know that. But I feel good about Washington's offensive line play. I feel good about running the football. And the best thing you do against a pass rusher is you run the football towards them. So they have everything in play here. But the most important thing, Rio, and it's going to feel good to just be able to say this for once, they're going to have home field advantage
Yes,
because
sir.
that stadium is going to be buzzing. And I mean literally buzzing. It's probably going to be 80-20 Commanders fans,
And
something that
it
you just
better.
don't see. It could even be 90-10. I'm telling you, as long as Five is doing his thing, he's going to sell the place out. And I think fans want to see with their own eyes, what they've been witnessing over the past few weeks. They
Mhm.
want to get back and see this thing up close. And if you're Washington, if you're the players and you deliver the way you've been delivering, this place is going to be in a frenzy if they beat Cleveland and go to 4-1, which I'm pretty confident that that's exactly what's going to happen. Matter of fact, I'm going to go out and say this. I'm expecting them to beat Cleveland to sleep. I'm going to say that.
Ooh, Lake talking crazy on a Tuesday. I don't want to look past opponents like Arizona did with us, but if Washington continues to play on the track that we've been playing through 4 weeks, I think the home fans are going to have something to watch. We got to see the home fans only got to see the experimental version of this in week 2. We picked up a W versus the Giants and we didn't punt, but we weren't able to punch the ball in the end zone. They get to see a high-powered Jayden Daniels led offense versus a really good Cleveland Browns defense. Myles Garrett is going to be a problem. He's a problem every week he shows up on the schedule. But I also believe Washington could and should win this game on Sunday. Anything else you'd like to say before we sign out of here?
Yeah, just real quick, potentially with Austin Eckler back. Hopefully he can
Mm-hmm.
be cleared to come back. If he doesn't, you already see that they're okay. But
Mm-hmm.
if he does come back, it's another weapon, and it makes their special teams, their return game, even more valid in this home game against Cleveland. So keep your eye on Austin Eckler. If he plays, it could be something special, man, that you're going to witness on Sunday.
All I know is that run defense better be ready to go because when guys show up on the schedule, people miraculously disappear from the injury report. Nick Chubb is probably going to play football this week. So that two-headed monster of Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford, if he does play on Sunday, Nick Chubb, we gotta definitely not make business decisions and make some tackles. But Lake, let folks know where they can find you to hear about the Browns game or whatever you got going forward on your channel and on social.
Sure. You can check me out on social media at Lake Lewis Jr. That's on all social media. You can obviously subscribe to my show, the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. You can subscribe to it on YouTube or you can watch it. And been getting a lot of new subscribers, and I'm pretty curious as to why. Maybe because I'm on this man's show, who's the YouTube king. So definitely appreciate that. And then, of course, you can subscribe to the audio versions on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's on there. And then you can go to sportsjourney.com. That's a media site that I own and helping out some younger aspiring journalists do their thing. So you can check out their great work on sportsjourney.com. So, man, just appreciative of always coming on here and having fun with you.
Oh yeah, blessing the program as usual. I don't know about you, but I could get used to victory podcast every week coming off another momentous Washington victory. Y'all know the vibes. Rambling with Rio Robinson at Rio_Robinson 91 on all social. Make sure y'all tune in tonight. We're doing a quarterly check-in with all the Commanders YouTube Kings. Me, Louis T, Street Scores, and Ed Oliver. Until next time, hail to the Washington Commanders. Let's stack 4 in a row this week.